Welcome back to the I Can Do Anything podcast. My name is Colin, and last Thursday I was on the road for work, so I was unable to record this podcast. When I got home, it was about 12:30 at night already, and I was exhausted from filming the majority of the night. I filmed a alumni event for the university that took place before the women's basketball exhibition game against Butler, in which the Trine women's basketball team got their butts kicked. And then Friday, because I was up so late on Thursday, was one of the more unproductive days that I've ever had in my life. And today, Monday, has been another really long day, but there's been a lot going on in basketball, and I told myself I was going to keep fucking doing this. I missed a whole bunch of stuff. I guess the first thing that I want to get to is that I actually, on Thursday, before I left to go down to Indianapolis for the women's game, I did my MVP, so I want to go over just real quickly, the MVP matrix for last week based on the statistics where they were on Thursday. So I added a couple of people to the equation. I added Kevin Durant. I added LeBron James. I added Blake Griffin was already in there. I added Joel Embiid. I added Ben Simmons. And I believe I added someone else. No, it was just 4. There was 6, so Durant, Simmons, Embiid, and LeBron. I added 4. There were 6 before. And it actually turned out that Durant finished first. Durant finished with how many total points? Let's see. Durant finished with 38 points on the matrix. Steph Curry finished with 39. And then Anthony Davis finished with 40. Giannis finished with 48. Kawhi Leonard, 50. So it goes, Jokic was in there somewhere. Durant, Curry, Davis, Jokic, Giannis, and Kawhi Leonard. So that is the top 6. And then it was, I'm not even going to say the next 4, because I think it only matters who finished in the top 6. I don't know why. I think just because I started with a top 6, that's what I'm going to go with for the rest of the year. Those stats are pretty much irrelevant now. Giannis has had a couple really good games. LeBron's plus minus has been pretty horrible since then. And I'm going to get into that, I think, for a couple of the reasons why that I think that is. But that's where the MVP matrix was last week. Just for the record, I'm not going to talk about it too much because I'm so late on it. Let's see. This is going to be a really raw episode. It's been a long day for me already. I'm actually recording this at the radio station because I just finished covering 2 meetings for the radio. A highly contested sewer lateral issue made the Angola, what is it called? The Angola Board of Public Works and Safety meeting was almost an hour long, and then the Common Council meeting was actually pretty short, but there was a whole dispute about a sewer lateral repair that the city of Angola initially did, and it was a whole big thing between a lawyer and some representative of the landowner that was occupied by a tenant who, just a bunch of stuff that it was actually, I'm generally uninterested in a lot of the things that I cover for the radio station, but this was actually kind of interesting. I really am fascinated by confrontation in general, and just how different people handle confrontation. I really admire people who can kind of sit in the confrontation and soak it up and handle it really well and professionally. I think that's a really cool characteristic, or I guess like personality trait of people. I think that just comes with being a professional and being an adult in general. I think confrontation as a kid is this thing that is looked at as like, if you have a confrontation with somebody, then you guys completely disagree about whatever the confrontation was, and you can't be friends. But in the professional world, like, it's just a case by case. Like, we disagree on this, and for the guy who is going to have to end up paying $12,000 in sewer lateral repair damages, obviously, like, that is a really big deal for him, because I don't have $12,000 to just throw at the city of Angola. And they only gave him a year. They set up like a finance plan, a no interest finance plan for him to pay it off in a year. But I still probably couldn't pay $12,000 off in a year. Anyways, I'm straying away from NBA basketball, and I want to talk. Let's see. I missed a whole bunch of stuff. I guess first I should. I don't. Why did I even start talking about the city of Angola? I guess I was just trying to say that it's been a long day, and I'm at the radio station recording because I didn't want to go home and then have to go back to my office at the university, to upload this. So I'm going to stay out in the world. I'm going to record it here at the radio station and then go to my office at the university and maybe do some work while it uploads. And it's going to be a really long night for me, but I'm going to try to hold myself accountable to wake up early in the morning and do my morning workout. Okay, NBA basketball. Derrick Rose scored 50 fucking points. How cool was that? I didn't watch that game in real time, but watched it the next day, and it was actually, I have the no spoilers thing on NBA.com so that I can watch the games without knowing the score. And my buddy Jake Bagley kind of ruined it for me, and we were on the phone the morning before I had watched the game, and he's like, "Did you see what Derrick Rose did last night? He scored 50 points." And I was like, "Fuck. Why did you tell me that? I mean, that's awesome, but it would have been a lot cooler if I would have seen it without knowing what was going to happen." But nonetheless, I mean, it was really awesome to see Derrick Rose playing so well again. His shot was great. I should probably pull up the NBA.com and look at the box score from that game, because there was a lot of things that he shot the ball so well. Let's hope the internet is a little bit faster here at the WLKI studios, and it sounds like it is. Let me know in the comments if you can tell the difference between my microphones and the WLKI studio microphones. I think that these microphones, I know these microphones are more expensive, and they're broadcast quality microphones, but the microphones that I use at my home they're significantly less money, but I think they still sound really great. That's something that I kind of nitpick over the audio quality that I don't think a lot of people who are listening necessarily even maybe pay attention to or care about. But the internet does seem to be working here a little bit faster. You would hope that the Swick Broadcasting Corporation, SBC, yeah, would have faster internet than my home, and it seems like they do. Okay, when was that game? Jazz Timberwolves, Wednesday, October 31st. That would make sense, because then I would have recorded on Thursday. Okay, let's look at the box score from that game. This could be a really long episode. I might end up staying up way later than I should. Fuck it. I can do anything. I forgot to say that at the beginning of this episode. Did you know that I can do anything? Okay, Derrick Rose, 40 minutes. The game, did it go in overtime? No. Played 40 minutes. Got the start because Teague was out, and Tyus Jones, their other backup point guard, was out, and Jimmy Butler didn't play. So 50 points on 61.3% shooting from the field, 19 of 31, and 4 of 7 from 3. I think that's a really, really important stat. The 4 of 7, 57% from 3, 8 of 11 from the free throw line, 6 assists, 6 turnovers. That's way too many turnovers. You don't want an even assist to turnover ratio. But overall, just really exciting to see Derrick Rose play so well again. My NBA correspondent, Addison Dobb, had a really generic NBA hot take. And it was really not even a hot take. It's really not like he was going out on a limb at all, just based on the wording of how he said this. I think it's something that's really easy to say. He said Derrick Rose scoring 50 last night is one of the greatest feats in NBA history. Now, one of the greatest feats. I mean, what classifies one of? Is it one of the top 50 greatest feats? Top 5, top 10? But regardless, I think it's just great for the league that we've now had Klay Thompson score 50 plus. We've had Durant and Curry. Did Curry score 50? Yes, Curry had that 50-plus game. Blake Griffin had a 50-plus game, and now Derrick Rose. And I think Derrick Rose would have probably been one of the more... I don't think anybody would have predicted Derrick Rose scoring 50 points in a game this year, maybe let alone in his career, and having a career high of 50 points in... I don't know how many years he's been in the league. Maybe his 9th or 10th year in the league now. Against the Jazz, too, who are a good opponent. And, Donovan Mitchell had 26 that night and played a really good game. Shot 41% from the field, 60%, 3 of 5 from 3. Had 5 assists, 1 turnover. Another good game that night was Warriors-Pelicans. And then Lakers and Mavs. I wanted to look at the box score from Lakers-Mavs. The Lakers had a pretty big lead at one point in this game. I don't remember exactly what that lead was, but a pretty sizable lead. And I think in the NBA in general, it almost kind of reminds me of like how when I used to play video games with my buddies all the time, like on weekends and shit. It always seemed like when we'd play sports games, whether it be college basketball or NBA or college football or Madden or whatever it was, it always seemed like when whoever was losing, they always could like come back relatively easy. It was almost like the game was designed to keep it close. Like the computer, whoever was winning, the computer would sort of like make them make more errors, or the shots would go in for the team that was down more. I don't know, but this game the NBA in general this year it seems like a lot of teams are blowing leads in the fourth quarter. And in the NBA, like a 16-point lead in the fourth quarter, unless it's like within the last 4 minutes, like if you're up 16 with like 4 or 5 minutes to go, it's still really not all that safe of a lead because of teams like the Warriors and just how fast the pace is now, and how much the 3-point shot has really changed the league. Teams are pretty much always in the game. But in that Lakers Dallas game, LeBron had 29, 57.9% from the field, 2 of 3, one of his better 3-point shooting games, 6 assists, 3 turnovers, 5 rebounds. That's a really low rebound number for LeBron, but had a positive plus minus. Actually, their entire starting 5 had a positive plus minus. But I was curious about the plus minus from that game and then from future games. I guess I could just talk about the plus minus thing now. LeBron's plus minus over this weekend, in their game on Friday. No, they played Saturday. In their game Saturday against the Trailblazers, a really important win. I talked about the Mavs game being an important win for the Lakers, but this Trailblazers win, 114-110, was a really big one. Again, another lead that they blew in the fourth quarter. I want to say they were up like 16 at one point, but LeBron had 28, shot 45% from the field, 1 of 5 from 3, low rebound 5 again, and 7 assists. But his plus minus was negative 22. Their entire starting lineup was negative. But I think largely, let me go ahead to then last night's game Sunday against the Raptors, where they pretty much got their ass handed to them in a game where Kawhi Leonard didn't play. LeBron's plus minus again was, where are you at? Wait, what did I do? I scrambled the starting lineups. LeBron's plus minus was negative 16. Kuzma's negative 18. McGee's negative 24. Lance Stevenson negative 10. I guess that hurts my overall point a little bit with Lance Stevenson being negative. Lonzo Ball was negative. Let's see, Brandon Ingram was positive. He's a starter. Josh Hart was positive. He's a reserve. Rondo was negative. I think that that second unit has been playing pretty well, and Rondo played really well against the Trailblazers. I'm in the Raptors box score. Let me go back. Rondo played really well against the Trailblazers, but that second unit has been playing really well, and in a lot of ways has been. They've brought him back in a couple of cases. The Lakers were down in the first quarter, maybe in the second quarter against the Trailblazers, and then cut the lead down with the second unit. And I don't know if that's because I don't think it's because the Lakers' second unit is better than their first unit. However, I do think the Lakers' second unit is better than a lot of other teams' second unit. I think that second team is full of a lot of really good scorers that, although Josh Hart started for the Lakers last year, who were pretty bad. Caldwell Pope started for the Lakers last year, who were pretty bad. But those are two, guys that could start on a lot of teams in this league. Rajon Rondo has started his entire career and is now coming off the bench. Lance Stevenson, for the majority of his career, maybe minus the last couple years in Indiana, was a starter. So I think that they've got great scoring. And against the Trailblazers, they got 15 minutes out of Lance, 25 out of Josh Hart, 25 out of Rondo, who shot 80% from the field, had 10 rebounds and 6 assists. But 15 minutes out of KCP, and then Zubac played 19 minutes and had 9 points and a couple of blocks and played pretty. Oh no, he didn't have any blocks. JaVale McGee had a shit ton of blocks in that game, though. He had 6 blocks. He's going to be, I've said this before, but he's going to be really important come playoff time if the Lakers are able to make the playoffs. At protecting the rim, he's kind of a rare big man in the NBA now. Anytime he shoots the ball, I cringe a little bit. But I guess that leads me into talking about, the overreaction that we're seeing to the Lakers. I don't know. LeBron came into this season kind of talking about, downplaying a lot of their expectations for the year and trying to not really, have any expectations. The idea coming into this was that it was a long-term thing. I mean, he signed a 4-year deal with the 4th year being a player option, but this wasn't, they've all talked about how this isn't going to work right away, and I think we're seeing that. They had a chance against the Kawhi-less Raptors to get to 500 and really got blown out. Serge Ibaka played out of his mind, had his best game of his career, by far, a career high, I believe, 35 points. But the Lakers just played bad from the very beginning. LeBron was pretty horrible for the most part. There were a couple possessions where he brought the ball up the floor and got a pick and roll that got a favorable screen, but just didn't really do much with it. Just kind of dribble ISO ball at the top of the key with everybody else. There's no, it's not like they're not making the defense rotate. And I want to continue to be critical of LeBron without being one of these cynical LeBron haters. I don't think that's ever going to be possible because I sort of worship the ground that LeBron walks on. I think he's the greatest human being, the greatest athlete, and the greatest basketball player to ever walk the face of the earth. But I haven't been really too impressed. He's had a couple games that were near triple doubles, and one I believe that he did actually get a triple double. Some impressive moments and some impressive games, but overall I haven't been crazy about the way he's played. I think that he's frustrated, and understandably so. He's got a young group, but it's kind of what he signed up for. But I don't really subscribe to this whole this like not radical, just like the reactionary. I mean, on a game-to-game basis, every time they lose a game, there's going to be people calling for Luke Walton's job and saying, do they need another shooter, or when are they going to make trades to make this work? I don't really. I kind of believe in the process that is LeBron. I think that they just ride it out this year. I like this group. And a lot of these guys are rentals. JaVale McGee, Lance, Rondo are all signed to 1-year deals. So if it doesn't work out with these guys, you ship them away, and the problem is you don't have a lot of time because LeBron's getting older, and I think we may early on be starting to see at least a little bit of the decline. I just don't like being too reactionary. I think the whole thing about Luke Walton on the hot seat is stupid. I've heard talks. I have listened to now a little bit. I have listened to a little bit of talk around the league. I don't like listen to too many like full on discussions. But I don't have social media or anything, but I do get notifications on ESPN and Bleacher Report, and I read articles on NBA.com, and I've heard talks about Ty Lue maybe because of LeBron's Instagram caption when Ty Lue got fired, that Ty Lue could be the next Lakers coach when they get Luke Walton out of there, but I don't know. I don't really buy into a lot of that stuff. I like what Luke's been doing rotationally. I think it's really difficult to make a call like putting LeBron on the bench for a couple minutes in the fourth quarter when like you could probably use him out there, but for the sanctity of him being rested come playoff time. But at the same time, you got to make the playoffs for those minutes to even have their justification. But I don't really like the whole, I guess I don't really have an answer either, like maybe they should fire Luke Walton, but I don't necessarily think it's coaching. I think that largely the NBA is a players' league. I don't think very many people would dispute that. I think it's definitely a players' league. I think coaching only goes so far. Steve Kerr gets a lot of credit for being a great coach, but I just think he's a great person. Like he just manages all those egos really well. And I think Steph Curry sets the guideline for all of that. I mean, Steph Curry was humble enough to, in the prime of his career, ask Kevin Durant to come join him. One of the greatest players probably the second greatest, if not the best player in the league right now. There's certainly an argument that Kevin Durant is now better than LeBron. Just based on my matrix, I added field goal percentage and 3-point percentage. And I think that maybe Steph Curry, I think in a lot of people's eyes right now, Steph Curry is the leading candidate for MVP, but just based on how well Kevin Durant does across the board and all the important statistics, I think that's why I've got him at the top of the MVP race. But it's all led by Steph Curry. The Warriors, they're the humbleness that he exudes. You saw in Klay Thompson setting that 3-point record that Steph Curry was encouraging him and passing him the ball. And I don't know. I think coaching, like Steve Kerr gets a lot of credit, but all he really does is he's just a really awesome fucking guy. And the Warriors respect that he's won rings playing with Jordan, and that he played with Jordan and was able to handle the ego of Jordan. And even, he fucking took a punch in the face from Jordan. And a lot of these guys every NBA player now idolizes Michael Jordan. I think anybody who's ever been around the game of basketball, at least to a degree, idolizes what Jordan did on the court. But I don't know. What else can I talk about? The games haven't been the greatest. Over the weekend, there were not very many interesting games. Oladipo did hit a game-winning 3 against the Celtics, and that was a pretty back-and-forth game. Let me look at the box score from that game. Kyrie did outscore Jason Tatum. I think that's going to continue to be a running thing to keep an eye on. Kyrie had 18. Jason Tatum had 14. Gordon Hayward still struggling. 4 points on 2 of 10 shooting. 0 of 5 from the three-point line. 7 rebounds, 3 assists. 1 turnover. 9 plus minus. Actually, Marcus Morris was the leading scorer in that game. And then Oladipo was the leading scorer for the Pacers, which I think is pretty self-explanatory. He'll probably lead every single game in scoring for the Pacers. But I couldn't watch that game because of the Pacers blackout in the region. But what else? The Rockets beat the Bulls. That's whatever. The Spurs beat the Pelicans. Aldridge had a really good game. Nuggets Jazz was a good game, I think, for the most part, although I wasn't able to watch it. I didn't really watch any games over the weekend. Antetokounmpo I did watch the Bucks and the Kings last night. Antetokounmpo had a couple of really great dunks. 26 points, 15 rebounds, 11 assists. He probably shot a really great percentage as the box score loads. Yeah, he did. 8 of 11, 72% from the field. 1 of 2 from 3 is fine. He doesn't really take threes. He doesn't really need to. There's a lot of guys. I talk about like Ben Simmons and Markelle Fultz. Ben Simmons is still effective. Markelle Fultz really isn't. Holy shit. The 76ers got beat 122 to 97 against the Nets. I'm going to look at that box score next. But Antetokounmpo really is still really effective, even as not really a threat to shoot threes. He just kind of like, even if you give him a cushion, he just kind of overpowers you and then just kind of goes right over top of you. He had a couple of amazing dunks last night. Let me look at the box score from this 76ers and Nets game. This episode's going to be a lot of me just scrolling through box scores. Markelle Fultz. I continue to pick on Fultz. 9 points, 3 of 8 from the field, 37%. Didn't take any threes, 3 of 4 from the free throw line, 0 assists, 1 turnover, 4 rebounds. JJ Redick needs to just start. I don't know why he's not in the starting lineup. Brooklyn is shooting the ball really well this year. Let's see what they're... Okay, well, maybe not. They shot 9 of 28, 32% from 3, and still beat the 76ers by 30. And only shot 47% from the field. Philadelphia must have shot the ball horrible. 47% from the field and 20% from 3. 4 of 20 from 3 as a team. I don't know. The 76ers just look worse and worse every time. It feels like they're getting worse. Let's look at the box score from the Raptors and Lakers real quick. What did Ibaka have? 34, 15 of 17 from the field, 88%. Wow, 1 of 1 from 3, 3 of 3 from the free throw line, 10 rebounds. Holy crap. Their entire starting lineup was plus 19, plus 25, plus 32, plus 22, and plus 26. all of them except OG Anunoby were in double figures. 2 guys in double figures off the bench. That game was really over. It was like 30-10 within the first like 6 minutes of the game. I watched about. I think I watched like midway through the third quarter, and then I had to do work stuff, and I never came back to it. But again, today was a very busy day. I don't intend to, although during the basketball season, now that the Trine basketball teams have started their seasons, it's gonna be tough for me on Mondays and Wednesdays once January comes around. Not Mondays and Wednesdays. I meant Wednesdays and Saturdays. I don't record on Saturdays anyways. So Wednesdays are going to be next to impossible for me to record. But any night that we've got a home basketball game, I've got to work those games from like 6 to almost 10 o'clock. So there's pretty much no way I'm going to record these on those nights, but I'm going to continue to do this anytime that I'm, not traveling, I guess, and not extremely busy. I normally record the Monday episodes on Sundays with my good buddy Addison Dobb. However, he was out of town this weekend, and I figured that I was going to be at the radio station anyways tonight, and if I had the energy left in me still, I would do this. I think that's all I got. Well, let me take a look at tonight's games. Let's see what's going on tonight. I know games have already started. I looked earlier and wasn't all that intrigued at tonight's games. What is it, Monday? Heat Pistons is in the third quarter and an 8-point game. Pacers Rockets is a close one in the fourth quarter. Wow. Cavs Magic is tied with 3 minutes left. Bulls Knicks is a close one in the third quarter. Pelicans Thunder is a 1-point game in the second quarter. That's an intriguing game. Celtics Nuggets would be a good game. That starts at 9. Raptors Jazz is another good game. Grizzlies Warriors is not all that intriguing, but anytime watching the Warriors is fun. And Timberwolves Clippers. A lot of those games don't really jump out at me as being intriguing games, but they're all close. So look forward to maybe me talking about those games tomorrow, because I can do anything. Thanks for listening.